Welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari to announce new NDDC board soon. Federal government reopens Lokoja Obajana Kaba Road to motorists. Plus, French President Macron hosts Saudi Crown Prince despite outrage over Khashoggi murder. Details of these stories and more in a moment. We'll begin the news tonight with a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to announce a new board to oversee the activities of the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) without further delay. This follows a series of agitations from the Niger Delta region. President Buhari made the commitment while presenting a keynote address at the opening of a two-day top management retreat of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs and Niger Delta Development Commission at the State House Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Represented by Minister of Transportation Muazu Jaji Sambo, President Buhari said the implementation of the forensic audit report, which has commenced in phases, would soon usher in new management and board for the NDDC. Acknowledging the importance of the ongoing East-West Road project to the nation's economy, President Buhari reassured that the project would be completed before the end of the present administration. In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari has presided over the National Security Council meeting at the council chambers of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The meeting comes a week after the council announced that it was mulling a total ban on motorcycles and mining activities in areas most prone to and affected by terrorist attacks. The Security Council meeting, attended by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Munguno. Cabinet members in the meeting include the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, Minister of Interior Rauf Arabashola, Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema, Minister of Police Affairs Mohamedin Yadi, and Minister of Defense Major General Bashe Magashi. Meanwhile, Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Rabo, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, the Chief of Air Staff Marshal Isiaka Mao, and the Chief of Defense Intelligence Major General Samuel Adebayo were also at the meeting. Others are the Inspector General of Police Alkali Usman, the Director General of the Department of State Service Yusuf Vici, and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency Ahmed Abubakar. Meanwhile, the presidency has replied to members of the opposition parties who staged a walkout after they moved to serve impeachment notice on President Muhammadu Buhari during yesterday's plenary. Reports say the impeachment move was hinged on the incessant attacks on Nigerians by dreaded insurgents and the latest threats to overrun Abuja, the nation's capital. However, the members of the opposition party were resisted by some members of the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC). Reacting to the development, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, criticized the lawmakers, saying they were determined to be in the headlines and that PDP senators were divided and confused. While commending Senate President Ahmed Lawan's refusal to entertain the motion to impeach the president, he called for the collaborative efforts of the senators, adding that the president was committed to finding lasting solutions to the emerging security threats. In a separate development, federal government has temporarily reopened the rehabilitated Lokoja Obajana Kaba Road for motorists 4 weeks after its closure. Federal Controller of Works in Kogi, Jimo Kajogbola, made this known in an interview with newsmen in Lokoja. It could be recalled that the road had on May 28 been closed from Obajana Junction to facilitate its reconstruction, and the culverts washed away by flood in 2021. Kajabola explained that the temporary opening of the road was necessitated by challenges occasioned by diversion of routes such as traffic logjams and kidnapping of motorists and commuters by criminal elements on that axis. Away from that, Global Chief Executive Officer of Open Government Partnership Sanjay Pradyan has made a case for the implementation of the Beneficial Ownership Register by the Corporate Affairs Commission. Pradyan said with the implementation, Nigeria will eliminate anonymous ownership of companies and save over $15 billion illicit financial flows. Sanjay said findings by the World Bank had shown that between 1980 to 2010, 70% of corruption cases involved anonymous shell companies. He added that it was estimated that elimination of anonymous companies would help put a stop to $15 billion illicit funds that flow out of Nigeria yearly. In the meantime, federal government has admitted that Nigerians are tired of the current security challenges facing the nation. The National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Manguno, stated this while speaking with newsmen after the National Security Council meeting chaired at the presidential villa, Abuja, by the President. The National Security Advisor stated that the worsening security situation may result in the citizenry gravitating towards self-help. He, however, said government was currently working on new strategies to curtail the worsening insecurity in the country and promised a renewed momentum against terrorism. Meanwhile, federal government says it will sanction the BBC and Trust TV for airing respective documentaries glorifying and fueling terrorism banditry in Nigeria. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, disclosed this in an interview with newsmen today in Abuja. Mohammed said the federal government is aware of the unprofessional documentary by the BBC, Africa Eye, where interviews were granted to bandit warlords and terror gangs, thereby promoting terror in the country. He condemned the BBC for not upholding the same standards and tenets as they would have done in the UK. The minister also condemned Trust TV, owned by Media Trust Limited, for using its platform to grant interviews to a bandit kingpin, Shehu Rekeb, thereby promoting the activities of terrorists. Away from that, federal government has expressed commitment to the Seed Water Convention. Minister of Water Resources Engineer Suleiman Adamu gave the assurance in his opening address while declaring a 3-day national advocacy sensitization workshop on Nigeria's accession to the Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Watercourses and International Lakes for key stakeholders open in Abuja. He said acceding to the convention provided an additional legal and institutional cooperation framework essential in the management of the transboundary waters. In another development, the Federal Executive Council has approved the 2023-2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy papers, setting new parameters ahead of its presentation to the National Assembly. Also, the Council granted approval for contracts cutting across the Ministry of Works and Housing, Ministry of Aviation, and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, summing up to over 17 billion naira. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, made this known while briefing State House correspondents at the end of the week's virtual meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. According to Ahmed, the ministry got input from the Council and will make the adjustments for onward presentation to the National Assembly. To the legislative matters now, where House of Representatives Committee on Basic Education says it will sanction schools, especially private ones, resisting the national personnel audit conducted by the Universal Basic Education Commission. Chairman of the committee, Julius Weber, said this in Abuja while monitoring the 2022 national personnel audit. Reports say the Commission is currently carrying out a national personnel audit of all basic education institutions in the country. Weber said he would propose a law along with other colleagues to make it compulsory for every private school to make available 100% of the personnel data. Still on the legislature, Minority Caucus of the House of Representatives has joined its Senate counterpart to hand President Buhari a 6-week ultimatum to fix insecurity or face impeachment in the National Assembly. Minority Leader of the House of Representatives Ndudi Lumelu stated this after a closed-door meeting of the Joint Minority Caucus of the National Assembly today. Lumelu said the signatures will be gathered to impeach the president if the security situation was not addressed. He also drew attention to the general state of the nation, including the exchange rate and aviation crisis. It could be recalled that yesterday, senators, mostly drawn from the Minority Caucus, had staged a walkout on the floor of the Red Chambers. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has faulted the alleged omission of Anambra and Enugu states from the ongoing National Agricultural Growth Scheme of the federal government. At the plenary on Wednesday, the House urged the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to revisit the omission with a view to including these two states in the project. The House also mandated its Committee on Agricultural Production and Services to ensure compliance with the resolution. This was based on a motion titled Call on the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to include Anambra and Enugu states in the ongoing National Agricultural Growth Scheme, NAGS, under which the lawmakers unanimously adopted. Recall that sponsors of the motion, Vincent Ofumelu, Chinedu Obidigwe, Simon Atigwe, and Dennis Amadi, had noted that NAGS, which is under ATSP 1 being implemented by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, failed to capture Anambra and Enugu. Development in the House of Representatives ad hoc committee is now set to investigate the petroleum product subsidy regime from 2013 to 2021 and has said it does not know the profile of 23 oil and gas companies trading in Nigeria. The panel is investigating payments made by the federal government through the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, now Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC), for the subsidy on premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, within 8 years. The chairman of the committee, Ibrahim Aliyu, at the resumption of the investigative hearing on subsidy payments, stated that the firms had major serious questions to answer, noting that the committee would be forced to write to the embassies of the countries where the companies are based for information on them. Elsewhere, 23 states and the Federal Capital Territory have accessed a total of 24.5 billion naira from the conditional grant schemes. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), Adejoke Orelope Adefulire, said this when she appeared at the weekly ministerial briefing by the Presidential Communications team at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Orelope Adefulire said the funds were received as an incentive to invest more of their resources into areas of national development priorities and the Millennium Development Goals and Sustainable Development Goals. The conditional grant schemes disbursed from 2015 till date was introduced in 2007 with a 50% matching grant from the federal government and 50% from the participating states. Orelope Adefulire said the grants were targeted at education, health, water, and sanitation projects. Ahead of the 2023 Housing and Population Census, the National Population Commission has assured Nigerians of a reliable and credible data census. Chairman of the Commission, Nasir Isa Kwara, gave the assurance in Abuja at the commemoration of the 2022 World Population Day with the theme, A World of 8 Billion Towards a Resilient Future, Harnessing Opportunities and Ensuring Rights and Choices for All. Isa Kwara promised Nigerians that the exercise will meet international standards. On judicial matters now, an Abuja High Court has granted the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Idris Ahmed, and his co-defendants bail. They are expected to sign an undertaking that they will abide by the bail conditions at the EFCC, as the judge threatened to revoke the bail if any of them failed to appear for trial. Justice Adeyemi Ajayi ordered that the defendants should not leave the Federal Capital Territory without permission of the court, nor procure alternate passports until their case is expanded. Having deposited their original passports to the agency, Ajayi gave the ruling on ground that the allegations against the defendants were yet to be proven, making them entitled to bail. Meanwhile, the General Assembly of the Christian Association of Nigeria today formally validated the election of Archbishop Daniel Oko as its new president, thereby putting to an end the tenure of Dr. Samson Supo Ayokunle. His recommendation by an electoral college which was set up to screen and suggest candidates for the offices of the president and vice president respectively, as presented by the blocs that have rights of nomination, was in line with the provisions of the 2021 CAN Constitution as amended. Oko, the General Superintendent of Christ Holy Church International, Onitsha, emerged as the new spiritual leader of CAN after getting a 100% vote of all 259 delegates who participated in its 12th General Assembly, and is expected to serve a single 5-year term. Meanwhile, the new CAN president, in his acceptance speech, charged the President Muhammadu Buhari to quell the rising insecurity in the country. To politics now, where the All Progressives Congress APC has berated opposition senators at the upper chamber over moves to impeach President Muhammadu Buhari. Jigawa State APC Chairman Aminu Ahmed Gomel disclosed this while reacting to threats from PDP lawmakers to impeach the president. Recall that opposition senators on Wednesday issued 6 weeks ultimatum to Buhari if he does not address the security situation of the country. Gomel described the move as unhealthy and nefarious to the Nigerian democracy. On security matters now, the Defense Headquarters today in Abuja said military troops have eliminated 30 terrorists who attacked troops of the Guards Brigade in the Buari area of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, on Sunday. They recall that military personnel were attacked while returning from the Nigerian Law School, where they had gone to discuss security issues with the management of the school. 2 senior officers were ambushed and killed in the process. However, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Bernard Onyoko, during a bi-weekly news conference on military operations today in Abuja, said the operation was conducted by troops of 7 Guards Battalion and 167 Special Forces Battalion in conjunction with the air component of Operation Well Punch between Sunday and Tuesday. According to him, the troops successfully cleared Kawu and Ido villages, neutralizing the terrorists and destroying their enclave and hideout. He said the ground troops also recovered 6 motorcycles, 2 AK-47 rifles, and 1 fully loaded LMG magazine, amongst others, during the mop-up. Still on security, Ondo State Commissioner for Police Oyeyemi Oyediran has appealed for calm while encouraging residents to cooperate in the course of investigations into the shootings at the Craneburg Construction Company site in Owo. Oyediran made the request in a statement by the command's public relations officer Fumilayo Odulami in Akure. It could be recalled that the shootings had occurred at about 10 p.m. yesterday. Meanwhile, gunmen suspected to be bandits last night reportedly launched attack in Owo, headquarters of Owo local government area of Ondo State. The Ondo State Police Public Relations Officer Fumilayo Odulami, who confirmed the incident, said some persons were injured in the attack, adding that it was still unknown if the perpetrators were terrorists or bandits. Recall that weeks ago, some suspected terrorists attacked St. Francis Catholic Church in the town, murdering no less than 40 worshippers. Elsewhere, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission (NIDCOM), PK Dabiri Erewa, has expressed optimism that justice will be served for the 2 Nigerians killed at the weekend in Canada. Dabiri Erewa also commiserated with the families of the slain Nigerians, expressing her deepest condolences with their families and friends. Recall that 22-year-old Chibueze Moma and 25-year-old Tosin Awaroshebe were allegedly shot dead on Saturday by gunmen at the ATL Lounge in Vaughan, Ontario, Canada. Meanwhile, the public relations of the Commission, Abdul Rahman Balogun, has said the police authorities in Canada have begun to look into circumstances surrounding the deaths of the 2 young Nigerians, with the hope of bringing the culprits to book. To Kano now, where the State High Court has sentenced the proprietor of Nobel Kids Academy and Northwest Preparatory School, Abdul Malik Tanko, to death for the kidnap and killing of 5-year-old schoolgirl Hanifa Abubakar. The presiding judge, Justice Usman Naba, also sentenced Tanko to 5 years imprisonment for the 4-count charges leveled against him. It will be recalled that Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje had earlier this year vowed to sign the death sentence without further delay if given by the court. Meanwhile, Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun has declared tomorrow, Friday, 29th July, work-free. This is the second time this week that workers will be given holiday to register for their permanent voter cards. Recall that Governor Abiodun had earlier declared Tuesday, 29th July 2022 as a work-free day throughout the state. The announcement followed the large turnout of eligible voters to register on Tuesday, and more people still rushing to registration centers as exercise will end on Sunday, 31st July. Back here, Kwabon State Governor Dumimaniel has donated another set of 10 security patrol vehicles equipped with communications gadgets for the State Police Command. This brings to 45 the total number of operational vehicles donated to the police in the state by the present administration. Governor Emmanuel, who stated this while receiving the new Commissioner of Police in the state, Olatoye Durosimi, who was at the Government House, Uyo, on a courtesy visit, said his administration had also procured 18 gunboats to boost security in the riverine areas of the state. The governor further commended the new Commissioner of Police for the innovations introduced in policing of the state and effective collaboration with other security agencies in securing the area since his assumption of duties in the state. Speaking earlier, the Commissioner of Police in the state, Durosimi, said he has intensified patrols in all parts of Akwa Ibom to detect and prevent crime in the area. The Commissioner of Police lauded the state governor for his support to the command and assured of the readiness of the police to work round the clock to sustain the peace currently being enjoyed in the state. He was accompanied on the visit by heads of units of the State Police Command. Still to come in the news. Algeria, Nigeria, and Niger agree gas pipeline deal. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, Mozambique's former Labour Minister Maria Typhus has been sentenced to 16 years in prison for corruption charges involving the diversion of more than $1.7 million from government funds. Other government officials were sentenced alongside her. The defendants were charged with the crimes of embezzlement, breach of trust, abuse of power, economic participation in business, and forgery of documents. The crimes were committed between 2014 and 2015. The money that was stolen was used to, among other things, purchase 50 bicycles, the construction of a house, parties, and end-of-the-year hampers. Still in Africa, protesters took to the streets for a third consecutive day after at least 15 people were killed and dozens of others injured during the previous 2 days of demonstrations in Congo's east against the United Nations mission in the country. The UN said one peacekeeper from Morocco and 2 international policemen from India serving with the UN peacekeeping force were slain, and a policeman from Egypt was injured at the UN base in Butembo in North Kivu province, when violent attackers snatched weapons from Congolese police and fired on UN personnel. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned the violence targeting multiple UN bases across North Kivu since Monday. Meanwhile, President Macron has arrived in Guinea-Bissau for the first official visit of a French head of state to the West African country. The French head of state was received at the Osvaldo Vieira airport in the Guinean capital by his Guinean counterpart Umaro Embalo. This business visit comes as Umaro Embalo assumed office on July 3 as the president of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, for a 1-year period. President Macron's visit is highly anticipated as the streets were full of people chanting his name and waving flags in a bid to express their delight and support in his visit. On the foreign scene now, Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris is on track to reopen to worshippers and the public in 2024. Culture Minister Rima Malek confirmed this more than 3 years after the cathedral's roof was destroyed in a massive blaze. She said the cleanup phase of the restoration project had ended, allowing rebuilding work to get underway at the end of the summer. Notre Dame has been closed for restoration since the fire in 2019 gutted its roof and sent its spire crashing down, to the horror of onlookers and people watching in France and around the world on television and social media. Still on the foreign scene, after months of internal debate, the Biden administration has offered to exchange Victor Bout, a convicted Russian arms trafficker serving a 25-year U.S. prison sentence, as part of a potential deal to secure the release of 2 Americans held by Russia, Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced that the U.S. presented a substantial proposal to Moscow weeks ago from Whelan and Griner, who are classified as wrongfully detained, noting that Biden's support for the swap overrides opposition from the Department of Justice, which is generally against prisoner trades. The top U.S. diplomat said he intended to discuss the matter on an expected call with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov this week, his first conversation with his counterpart since the war in Ukraine began.
On the table weeks ago to facilitate their release. Our governments have communicated repeatedly and directly on that proposal, and I'll use the conversation to follow up personally and, I hope, move us toward.
Taiwan has held massive Hankwang military drills as tensions with China builds. Taiwan's military scrambles indigenous defense fighter IDF jets and tanks, while ground troops detonate explosives to stop the advancement. The scenes are part of the week-long Hankwang exercises held across Taiwan and its outlying islands until Friday. The annual event has been running since 1984, and involves all branches of Taiwan's military, including its reserve forces, in an effort to boost overall defense capabilities. Reports say this year, the drills have taken on a greater significance amid growing concerns over China's intentions towards Taiwan, a self-governing island that Beijing's ruling Communist Party claims as its own. Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron is hosting Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for talks in Paris today. This defies criticisms that the invitation is deeply inappropriate, barely 4 years after the murder by Saudi agents of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The meeting will be seen as the latest step in the readmission of the de facto ruler of the kingdom into the international fold, after US President Joe Biden met him earlier this month. The topics set to loom over the meeting include energy supply, as concern grows over possible power shortages due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, as well as reining in the nuclear program of Riyadh's top regional foe, Iran. Now on our business news, Algeria, Nigeria and Niger Republic have signed a memorandum of understanding to build a gas pipeline across the Sahara. Algerian Energy Minister Mohamed Arkab told reporters after the ceremony that the three countries will continue talks to undertake the project as soon as possible. The pipeline linking Nigeria to Algeria through Niger Republic would have the capacity to supply 30 billion cubic meters of gas to Europe in the need to diversify its gas supply in light of Russian action following the invasion of Ukraine. The cost to build the 4,000-kilometer pipeline is estimated at $13 billion. It could be recalled that an earlier agreement had been signed in 2009 for the construction of the pipeline, but discussions then stalled. Still on business news, Nigerian Communications Commission will hold the first expo between August 1 and 2 in Lagos to showcase indigenous content in the industry. The expo will be held through the Nigeria Office for Development of Indigenous Telecom sector. The sector was set up last year to realize the objectives of the national policy on the promotion and implementation of indigenous contents in the telecommunications sector. Meanwhile, there are indications that multiple checkpoints and extortion of truckers are pushing importers and other investors to neighboring countries' ports, thereby depriving Nigeria of the opportunity to earn income. The chairman of the Association of Maritime Truck Owners, Amato Remi Ogunbemi, stated this at a stakeholders meeting organized by the Maritime Anti-Corruption Network, MACN, held in Lagos. Ogunbemi emphasized that multiple checkpoints along the port corridors have also led to financial loss and bankruptcy on the part of importers and truckers, arising from the diversion of containers and cargo and trucks. He said there is also an increase in prices of imported commodities arising from unauthorized payments at multiple checkpoints and extortion along the port's corridor. Still to come in the news, Sebastian Vettel, four-time world champion, to retire from Formula One at end of 2022 season. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now in health, the federal government has set plans to commence the universal health coverage, which would provide affordable and accessible health care to 83 million vulnerable Nigerians, is underway. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, disclosed this when the delegation from the World Health Organization, led by its country representative Dr. Walter Mulombo Kazadi, alongside the Executive Secretary, National Health Insurance Authority, Professor Mohammed Nasser Sambo, paid him a courtesy visit in his office. The SGF said the signing into law of the National Health Insurance Authority bill by President Muhammadu Buhari has signaled a new lease of life to the health sector, which would make universal health coverage accessible to the vulnerable in every nook and cranny of the country. Meanwhile, World Health Organization country representative Dr. Walter Mulombo Kazadi has said the law would make healthcare services accessible to the vulnerable in the society and by extension improve the health and economic status of Nigerians. It is over now to Bright James for trending sports stories.
Thank you, Stephen Roberts. Good evening and welcome to the Sports Desk. I am Bright James. We're with Formula One, where four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel is to retire from Formula One at the end of the season. The 35-year-old said the decision had been difficult and that he had spent a lot of time thinking about it. The German said he would take more time to reflect on what he would focus on next at the end of the year. He said spending more time with his family was a priority. Vettel will leave the sport as one of the most successful drivers in history. Only Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, and Juan Manuel Fangio have won more titles than Vettel, and only Hamilton and Schumacher have more than 53 races wins. Elsewhere, Uruguayan striker, former Liverpool and Barca striker Luis Suarez has joined his first club, Nacional, in his native Uruguay. The 35-year-old was a free agent after leaving Atletico Madrid when his contract expired this summer. Nacional finished runner-up in the Primera División last season, have not disclosed the length of the deal. Suarez made his professional debut for Nacional at 18 in 2005, helping them win the Uruguay League title by scoring 10 goals in 27 league matches. He earned the move to Europe with Dortmund Groningen the following season and then signed for Ajax a year later. The transfer to Liverpool followed in 2011 before he joined Barca, where he won 4 Spanish League titles and 1 Champions League trophy between 2014 and 2020. He won La Liga again in his first season with Atletico, scoring 21 goals in 32 games. Suarez is Uruguay's all-time leading goal scorer, having scored 68 goals in 132 international matches. More transfer news: Everton have signed Burnley winger Dwight McNeil on a 5-year contract in a deal worth about €20 million. McNeil made 140 appearances for the Claret and has missed just 2 Premier League games since December 2018. The former England and 21 international is Everton's third summer signing after the arrival of his former Burnley teammates James Tarkowski and Ruben Vannegar on loan from Sporting. McNeil was second in the Premier League for the most successful dribbles, 90 last season, and third in the league for the most crosses, 199. Finally, Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba could miss the 2022 FIFA World Cup if he undergoes surgery and is near to picking up an injury during a pre-season training session. He was in Los Angeles with the Bianconeri squad after his return to the club from Manchester United a few days ago. However, celebrations were short-lived after the Frenchman was diagnosed with a lesion in the lateral meniscus on his right knee and flew back to Italy. According to reports, there are 2 potential approaches to Pogba's injury. Still, one could force him to miss out on the upcoming Qatar 2022 World Cup showcase. And that's all from the Sports Desk this evening. I am Bright James, over now to Peter Bright for entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the Entertainment Desk. I am Beto O'Brien. First on our bulletin this evening, Thames earns an STVNg nomination for Best Hip Hop Video for her contribution to Future's Wait For You. The single is one of the songs on Future's 9th solo studio album, I Never Liked You, and it features Drake's and also samples vocals from Thames' Higher. Wait For You did debut on the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100, thus earning Thames her third Billboard Hot 100 entry and made her the only second Afrobeats act to reach the #1 on the charts. Other VMA nominations include the Artist of the Year, under which Bad Bunny, Drake, Ed Sheeran, Harry Styles, Jack Harlow, Lil Nas X, Lizzo have all been nominated. In other interesting categories, Song of the Year includes Adele's Easy On Me, Billie Eilish's Happier Than Ever, Doja Cat's Woman, and Kimo Sabe's record, Elton John and Dua Lipa's Cold Heart, Lizzo's About Damn Time, and the Kid Laroi song with Justin Bieber, Stay. Away from this story now, Omah Lay has revealed that Justin Bieber is the easiest collaboration he ever had. Afrobeat superstar Omah Lay has revealed his delightful experience working with the Grammy-winning global megastar Justin Bieber. According to the Nigerian singing sensation Omah Lay, his friendship with Justin Bieber started after he put out his first project, Get Laid, the EP, in 2020. And lastly, from the Entertainment Desk this evening, Elozonam is set to host first ever BBNaija eviction broadcast. The creative personality BBNaija alum, Elozonam Obulu, is set to be the exclusive host for the conversations with evicted housemates of the Level Up House on the first ever BBNaija eviction broadcast. The BBNaija eviction broadcast is an up-and-close personal conversation with evicted housemates as they share their experiences in the Big Brother house. The eviction broadcast will also take a deep dive into what it's like to be on the show with the housemates bearing it all. The first episodes will drop in August, with episodes available on DSTV Catch-Up and Showmax. The multi-talented creative personality is no stranger to the show, as he was a housemate in BBNaija's Pepper Dem season. He has gone on to make a name for himself as one of the creative housemates in the show's history due to his impressive content, including skits, commercials, and microfilms. In 2018, he hosted his show, The Cliffhanger, where he sat down in conversations with young personalities, including some ex-BBNaija housemates. That's our package from the Entertainment Desk this evening. I am Beto O'Brien, thanking you for watching. Over to Xavier Roberts.
And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. To have a terrific night rest. Bye for now.